I want to call the Committee on Higher Education to order. Today is Tuesday, March 19th, 3 p.m. in room 229. We have a number of items on the agenda, and the meeting is being streamed live on YouTube, and in the unlikely event something happens, we have to abruptly end this due to technical difficulties. We will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Thursday, 3/21 at 3 p.m. in this room 229, and a public notice will be posted. There is a 2-minute time limit per testifier, if you weren't aware of that. And the first item on the agenda is House Bill 1826, House Draft 1. This relates to education for mental health professionals, appropriates funds for temporary positions to support the statewide expansion of the University of Hawaii Windward Community College's mental health related programs. And to testify, we have Ha'aheo Pagan, or Pagan. And do you have Monique as well, or that's the same? We're all in one together, okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Ha'aheo Pagan, and I'm the Career and Transfer Counselor at Windward Community College, and we stand on our written testimony.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, the Hawaii State Council on Mental Health. Anyone here? UPA?
We stand on our testimony.
Okay, thank you. Behavioral Health Administration. Name. In support, Brian Talisan. In support, Raymond A. Folan. Raymond testifying for Hawaii Psychological Association. In support, Marcia He. Also in support. Anyone else here wishing to testify on this measure? Okay, if not, members' questions. So I guess the only person here testifying would be Ha'aheo. Can you come forward? So are you folks able to even find these positions and fill them if you were given more?
I will leave the position questions to
Okay.
PCAS Mike.
Can you identify?
I'm
yourself?
Monique Kang.
Oh, you're okay. You're Monique. Okay.
What was the question again?
Question is, are you able to, if we gave you these positions, are you able to even fill them?
Yes, we are currently working on position descriptions to be prepared to fill it once we know if it's approved for.
Okay, but isn't the university having a hard time filling these positions?
We
With mental
have,
health.
for our campus, we have 27 vacancies. We have 21 currently in recruitment and 6 designated for filling. So we are actively filling the positions, and I think we've been doing pretty well at making sure that all of our positions are filled timely.
So the 27 vacancies, are they across the board, or is this in the mental health area?
Or they're across the board.
So how many vacancies in the mental health?
We don't have any designated for this.
You don't have any positions
No,
at all?
not at this time.
Okay. Do you know if you're the only campus that don't have?
Mental health, we have a mental health counselor, but not for the instruction for the certificate program.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Okay, members, any other questions? Not, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no one else, we will move on to House Bill 1844, House Draft 1, appropriates funds for temporary adjunct faculty positions at the University of Hawaii Maui College. Testifying is Christian Fern from UPA. Thank you, in support. Erica LaCroix. Let's see, Erica in support. Anyone else here wishing to testify on House Bill 1844, Draft 1? Hearing none. Members, any questions? I guess, I don't know, Stephanie, are you able to answer, or UPA as far as kinds of vacancies in Maui? Okay. Okay, no one to ask questions to. We will move on. House Bill 1948, I'm sorry, 1949, House Draft 1. 49, isn't that? No, you're 48. Okay. I'm knowing this because of my sister.
She just revealed my age, okay?
No, I just said, no, 1948, wasn't that the time? Okay, let's move. Sayed Batini?
Yes.
Yes, you're testifying in support?
Hi, and this is Syed Patini, a faculty member with the College of Engineering at HRE-GVO. I'm here today on behalf of Dean Brennan Moriaco, and he apologized for not being able to be here today because he's out of the state. So we submitted the testimony in the support of this bill, and he's gone. We stand by it.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to say, this bill requires the University of Hawaii to establish and implement a 2-year program to develop WebGIS wildfire susceptibility and vulnerability maps for the state of Hawaii to determine which communities, landscapes, buildings, infrastructure are most vulnerable to future wildfires. And members, we did hear a similar Senate measure on this as well. Okay, next person, Pamela Tupac. Did I say it correctly? Testifying from Maui Chamber of Commerce with comments. Anyone else here wishing to testify on this measure? Okay, hearing none. Members, any questions? No questions?
I
Okay.
don't have
Yes, go ahead.
questions, but I have a comment. I think when the university comes before us asking for funds for positions or temporary positions, I think we should also know how many positions have been funded that have not been filled.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, we will certainly put that into the committee report as well. And yeah, and if there's no one here to ask questions, it's difficult to give us reasons to support measures, so just keep that in mind as we go forward. We are on House Bill 2500, House Draft 1. This relates to the University of Hawaii Conference Center Revolving Fund. It established the University Conference Center Revolving Fund and authorizes the University of Hawaii to establish accounts under the fund to facilitate the administration of this revolving fund for conference center programs. It repeals the Conference Center Revolving Fund for the University of Hawaii at Hilo and lapses the funds of the University of Hawaii Conference Center Revolving Fund. And Michael Ng.
Good afternoon, Chair, Senators. Michael Ng, Calvert Young, UH stands on its testimony today.
Okay, he's the only one I have to testify. Anyone else wishing to testify? So Mike, why don't you come forward? I know we've heard this measure a couple times already. Last year we had a similar one, right? And somehow it didn't make it through.
Yes.
I believe we passed it.
Yeah, I believe you passed a similar measure earlier this session also.
Right. So basically, we're establishing this revolving fund, but we're repealing the Conference Center Revolving Fund. Can you just give?
So right now, there are two conference center revolving funds that exist, one for the community colleges and one for HRE-GVO. So what we want to do is just create one university conference center revolving fund that will eliminate the need for a separate HRE-GVO one, and all the different campuses can have separate accounts under that one big fund.
Okay, and how much money do you have in that fund?
There's not much. I don't remember offhand. We have the reports. It's like thousands of dollars. There's not much.
And what are you supposed to use the revolving funds for?
So those funds, if there's anybody that wants to use the facilities, the conference centers at the different campuses, we charge them rent. If we have to pay for security or for the utilities, then we use that fund.
And this fund is sufficient in being able to fund whatever it needs to?
Yes.
Okay. Members, any questions?
So with organizations or groups that use the center are charged a fee,
Yes.
and that fee goes into this fund?
Yes. And we use those fees to pay for the lights or if they need, whatever they need to help run the facility.
So everything in the fund is from fees that have been charged?
Yes.
Okay, so are you charging too much then?
You'd have to ask the users. I think it's okay. There's some money in there, but there's not a lot. They need a small amount of flow. So it's not like, it's not like they're sitting on thousands of dollars a year.
Thousands could be 100,000,
No, I know, I don't-
what?
2,000.
It's definitely not a million. I tell you that. I don't have the exact figures in front of me. I
Well, you
apologize
should
for that.
have, so that, I mean,
It's not much. I mean, there
Can
really
you
is.
send that information to us, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, yes. I mean, you guys know you're gonna be asked questions, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I would hope if you folks have the answer. Otherwise, it would be reason for us to defer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, members, so we are in decision-making and discussion. Any discussion? We do have another measure, and it's not till 3:30, and our joint committee have some hearings going on, so we're gonna have a break. So if you want to discuss all of these measures at length, we can.
Well, I'm just saying I'm not ready to pass House Bill 2500 until I get the information.
Okay. All right, Mr. Fandaya.
Yeah, so I mean.
So did
we
you
can-
want us to defer this?
Yeah, if we can defer it until we get that information.
Okay, let's go into decision-making then. Okay, so let's go into decision-making for House Bill 1826, House Draft 1. This relates to the mental health professional at Windward Community College. I believe it is, how many positions? 2 positions, okay, for 2 positions. The recommendation would be to pass with technical and non-substantive amendments for clarity purposes, and also the appropriation is blank. 2 FTE positions, defect the date, or the date's already defective. Let me just make sure, what's the date of this? It's date, okay, the date's already defective. And there is a statement of statewide concern. If there's not, we're going to include it. So members, any discussion?
Sorry I wasn't here, but are we amending it or putting anything with the HPD or just first responders?
No, this is only 2 positions for the expansion of their college mental health program.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Why did you want to add in?
No, I mean, if this is the one that,
No, I don't think
Yeah.
that's the one. Okay,
the health professional.
Oh,
we have-
yes.
When I have some real quick answer that question.
come forward,
So
please.
Just because it's a topic of our discussion right now. We are currently working with HPD to provide a cohort in the fall semester.
Oh, I
So it is a part of a plan. We also have plans to work with the adults corrections officers with a trauma-informed focus that falls under the certificate as well.
All right, thank you. All right, all right. Thank
Sorry
you for
to
that.
interrupt.
No
Thank you
worries.
very
He
much.
wasn't here. That's good clarification for me.
Thank you.
Okay,
I was
yeah,
still,
thank
I was
you.
still voting yes, but
Thank you very much for your question.
even more so
Yes,
now.
yes.
It's gonna be a yes, yes.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing that up, because I didn't realize it was, that entailed. I know Farrington has something similar with their academy. Okay, any other discussion? If not, the chair votes aye. Vice Chair?
Oh. Oops, I have another duty. Okay, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Fukunaga, absent, excused. Senator Hashimoto.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Yes.
Measures adopted, Madam Chair.
Thank you. House Bill 1844, House Draft 1. This appropriates funds for temporary adjunct faculty positions at the University of Hawaii Maui College. Do we know how many positions this is? Okay, so we don't know how many positions this is. Nobody's ready. Come here, you're small people on that. I don't think Governor Abercrombie has the answer to this question. He has answers to a lot of questions, but I don't think he has the answer to this question.
When does that ever stop me from No laughing at the end, please.
Committee report. Okay, so according to our Maui senator, he found the information, 4 FTEs at approximately $250,000. And this is for the 4 FTEs will be, temporary.
Wait, the 250 is
250,000 total, I believe, right?
Yeah.
For the four?
Yeah.
Okay. And when they say four full-time equivalent, but it's temporary adjunct, so is the position temporary or just the name, the title is? It is full-time, but, okay, but they're temporary, so can anybody say what a temporary adjunct faculty is?
I think it's a temporary and adjunct.
And faculty.
Okay, so does UPA know?
I believe it's just for a period, a specific duration of time rather than like a part-time.
So it's a temporary position?
My understanding just from reading the bill is that at this time, it's not meant to last for an extended.
Does it say that up here?
It's temporary, permanent then.
But find out.
Again, we don't have answers to these questions, like, we could defer.
Be for the trades, right, to help them train people to do build.
Right, training persons in for construction trades, but then how long does it last for?
So we could just put in the LPU instead of FTE.
Senator, I think, in all seriousness, I think it's meant to be taken literally serious. Temporary adjunct, not a full-time professorship. It's a specific period of time for a specific reason, and
Okay.
meant not to be taken otherwise. That's why it's
Okay, yeah, so we,
Largely be a lecturer position.
so we need to then amend this to say LTE, not FTE. And then the committee point, make it clear that it's temporary. Okay, so staff, you folks got that?
I'm curious as to the amendment that they're offering,
Who's
Department
offering?
of Health, their comments about the department respectfully requests that the permanent mental health technician certificate program coordinator position
I think that's the one before.
be transferred.
The one we
That's
passed.
not,
We're on the second one.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. It's confusing.
I need mental
We're on
health.
1844.
Okay.
On the four adjunct faculty positions that are full-time but temporary. And I don't know if there's a drop dead. Maybe when it goes to WAM, we can we'll work on it. So we'll put that in the committee report as well. Okay, any other discussion? See what happens when you have a lot of time to go over these things in detail? Okay, so the recommendation is to pass, hold on, is to amend House Bill 1844, and we will make technical and non-substantive amendments for clarity. We will change the FTE to LTE and make it clear that it is temporary. It has a defective date, it has a statement of wide concern, or add it in. Okay, if it's not already in there, we will add that in. Statement of wide concern, and we will also put into the committee report the issues on the date of how long this will be temporary for. Okay, did I miss anything? Discussion, further discussion, members? Hearing none, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Fukunaga excused, Senator Hashimoto.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Measure is adopted, Madam Chair.
Thank you. House Bill 1949, House Draft 1. This is the wildfire susceptibility maps for Hawaii. And the recommendation is to have a SD1 with technical and non-substantive amendments. It already is a blank appropriation, have a defective date and statement of wide concern. And if it's not in there, we will include that in there. Any discussion? Any other amendments? Hearing none, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Fukunaga excused, Senator Hashimoto,
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Measures adopted, Madam Chair.
Okay, and the last amendment is House Bill 2500, House Draft 1. This is on the Hawaii Conference Center revolving fund. I was going to recommend we pass, but you wanted to defer this measure?
Yes, I do.
Senator, I have a
Yes.
little more information.
Okay, come forward, so you can save your
Save your-
measure
Since we have time,
and not be blamed for killing their
I know, this is our last.
revolving fund.
So currently, it ended fiscal year '23 with a cash balance of about $700,000. Okay, looking at, so it's a little weird because in fiscal year '21 and '22, there wasn't a lot of activity for obvious reasons. In fiscal year '20, they got revenues of about $270,000 and expenditures were about $400,000. So they actually expended a little more than they got in. For fiscal year '23, the revenues were $287,000 and expenditures were about $192,000. So, I don't know how you might want to read that. Basically,
So what's their balance?
their balance is $700,000.
And they're asking for?
We're just asking you to create it in statute.
You just want to move the fund.
Yeah.
So revolving funds, aren't they supposed to almost be zero? You're not supposed to have a large carryover balance. I think I had this long discussion on all the revolving accounts that was at RCUH, and we had to
Yeah.
close many of them because they were carrying high balances. They weren't doing what it was supposed to be doing.
Yes,
So-
but I would, I hate the term revolving fund for the RCUH stuff because it's not, this is a revolving fund that's, defined in statute, chapter 37. The revolving funds at RCUH are like their own, revolving account to me is a more appropriate term for that. A revolving fund is just a special kind of special fund, where the revenues and expenditures are tied together.
Right, but it's not supposed to have a high carryover balance, right? That's not the nature of revolving.
It's,
It's supposed to almost be your expenses, the income.
Right.
And then at the end of the year, you're supposed to be close, and then you have some carryover balance, but not a huge carryover balance. I
Yeah.
mean, that's my understanding of revolving.
right, and so this one's probably a little high, we can ask them to look at their fees, but they have basically about 2 years of reserves, they could not charge anything, and
And they still have all this, right, well, they couldn't charge anything, but they had expenses, and they still have a
Yeah.
carryover balance
Yeah.
of 700,000.
yeah, I mean, well, they didn't have revenues or expenditures in '21 and '22. But with a carryover balance of about 700,000, they could feasibly not charge things for a year or so, and still go on. They, of course, would, this is the community college I'm speaking about, would not want that to happen, but we can ask them to look at their fee structure and their usage.
And so what happens when you close the HELO? How much money was in the HELO fund?
The HELO actually doesn't have very much. This, what I'm referring to.
What is very
No,
much?
it's like $10,000, because HELO is, this is the community colleges one, so again, that's 7 campuses worth, right? So if you look at it that way, then each campus has about $100,000 in their float. You could look at it that way. But the community colleges revolving fund gets the lion's share of all the use, because Manoa doesn't even have a fund.
And it's basically for the conference center,
Yes.
right? So all the campuses share in that convention center.
Each campus has their own conference center.
They all have
right?
their own conference center.
Yeah, Kapiolani has a different one than we were, right? But they all use the same fund as an umbrella fund.
Is the same thing here in Oahu too? They use the same fund?
Manoa doesn't have a conference center fund, so this would allow Manoa to use it.
What?
Yeah, they don't. It would, yeah,
Okay, so Manoa doesn't have a conference
conference
center,
center.
but allows them to use what?
so they have conference centers, conference rooms, but they have to use like commercial enterprise or something like that. They don't have a conference center revolving fund. Manoa does not. Yeah, I know. So this would allow them to use it.
No, when you say allow them to use it,
Allow them to use the fund instead of the commercial enterprises special fund. So this would
So
like,
they would use this fund that's on
That they don't put
the
into,
conference center?
they don't contribute to it.
they don't contribute to it now, but they don't expend from it now also. Manoa does not.
But
Yeah,
they're-
but if you want them to expend from it, but not contribute to it.
No. We want them to to have a good fund. We want them to operate it well. So if we create this fund, now there's a University of Hawaii Conference Center revolving fund to allow every campus, every college, university to charge fees for the use of their conference center and to spend money from those fees for the operations of the conference center.
But if Manoa doesn't have a conference center, so why would they use this fund?
Well, they have areas. I mean, it's not a conference, it's a conference room, I should say, conference rooms. I mean, obviously Manoa has spaces that they rent out to non-university entities. And so they would use this fund rather than commercial enterprises, which is like another thing. And it's like, it's.
So Manoa wouldn't be able to take the funds from other campuses?
No. It's like tuition and fees. We have one tuition and fees fund, but each campus has their own account. So Manoa, each campus, right, has access to only those funds. That they generate.
For some reason, because I guess Hilo's mentioned, I thought that this was a conference center funding on the Big Island. I didn't realize that all campuses would have access.
It's basically like,
I
the
understand that.
rooms, if they're gonna rent the room.
Right, okay. So,
Sure.
Senator Scoville.
Yeah, I kind of concerned because we have a lot of empty buildings in Manoa. They could use them for multiple times, for these multiple rooms and make multiple money, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's what you just said, right? You just said that because they're number one conference center, they can use rooms for conferences,
Yes.
right? But they
Yes.
have a lot of empty rooms.
They could use whatever empty rooms they
Yeah, see, that's
have.
what I'm saying. So it would be like a fundraiser for them.
Well, they still need people to want to go to.
Oh, okay, just
Kinda
checking.
just,
Just checking.
But then they're renting out all this space elsewhere when they have all these rooms available.
Yeah.
Why are we
Maybe
expending?
they need them for pay for the spaces.
No, they're not. I mean, we're renting all these places, yet we have all these spaces.
There's no incentive to use this money in their own facilities.
who are they? Like,
Manoa, if they go outside to rent facilities, right? So, I mean, allowing this to happen, is there going to be some kind of rule that they use their own conference centers, conference rooms, rather than going outside and spending money outside?
I don't know that we do a rule. I mean, because it depends on what you need for a particular, right? The venue you need depends on what you're doing. Obviously, we would give ourselves a good rate, right? We wouldn't want to, like, if we can host it on campus, we wouldn't spend money to have it somewhere else.
You would think.
We would think, yes. I agree. But what this would allow is for a fund to be created so that if Manoa rents its rooms to a non-UH entity, it generates that cash flow for that.
So of all the campuses, there's only one conference center revolving fund, and that's at Hilo.
Well, no, the community colleges have it. The community college is the model that we want to run, and they have 7 campuses that.
Okay, so they have their own fund. They wouldn't be in this fund, community colleges.
The fund I cited is the community colleges conference center revolving fund, where they have $700,000 cash balance, right? That fund exists. Community colleges currently use it. They run their conference center, programs through their conference centers right now.
Okay.
Hilo has one. It's small. West Oahu does not have one. Manoa does not have one.
Okay.
So the purpose of this bill is to create a University of Hawaii conference center revolving fund. So all campuses would have access to their own account within this big fund. So it's supposed to make it simpler.
So let me see if I can get this straight. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one not getting it. So you have 7 community college campuses that have their revolving fund right now.
Yes,
Manoa doesn't have one, West Oahu doesn't have one, but Hilo has one.
yes.
So you want to repeal Hilo, create a brand new,
We want to amend the current community college statute to be a UH statute. I believe that's what it does. Yes.
that's what it does, it amends it.
It amends the current community colleges conference center revolving fund and makes it just the University of Hawaii Conference Center revolving fund. And we just create the accounts for that.
Okay, it was never clear that that's what you were doing. So, and the community colleges are fine with this?
Yes. I mean, because there's no difference to them as far as operating, because they have their own fund. They're already operating under this current structure, you know, if
Why
we brought
wouldn't
it.
why wouldn't you just leave them as they are and just have a conference center fund only for the four-year campuses?
We could, I think, just to keep it simple in statute, we want to create one. I mean, so it's like the tuition and fee special fund. We only have one tuition and fee special fund in statute, but obviously each campus has their own account within it. So that was sort of the idea we're trying to follow, is create one fund.
But doesn't system go in and manages those funds and moves money around?
By statute, we do, because at the end of the fiscal year for tuition and fees, we're required by statute to take it in, but we give back to the campuses everything. But for all the other funds, we just leave them alone.
And is that in statute or
It's
that's by rule? or
not
you
in
guys-
statute,
So you
that's
guys can do it, not leave it alone if you don't want to.
technically, yes. Obviously, we would have our own issues if, we'd have our own infighting if we did that.
But
So
you
we
haven't been fighting now. It doesn't stop them from doing it.
Chair,
Right? In other
Chair.
areas. Yes. Senator.
So the 700,000 that the community had generated, the community college generated in a fund, they okay, is that gonna stay with them or is it gonna be thrown into the pot?
That'll stay with the community colleges. We're not gonna touch it. Nobody else will touch that money except community colleges.
But does this bill give an opportunity to later on, to if they needed it, other colleges are gonna be able to touch it?
Technically, it would. I mean, you know, that is definitely not the intent. I mean, I would imagine if the situation were to, you know, it'd have to be pretty dire fiscal situation for whoever the CFO is, to want to do that. So technically, yes, they could, but we wouldn't. It's the same as the tuition and fee special fund. We don't take tuition from Kapiolani and spend it at Manoa or anything like that. It's just,
No, but you folks do manage to twist their arms to allow them to take certain tuition and use certain S397 fund, whatever. You folks have done that.
I don't agree.
Okay. Go ahead.
Real quick.
Senator.
You know, I think it's a, you know, a laudable thing that you're trying to streamline. I think we don't want to give you the wrong idea that we want you to lower fees. I think this is one of the bright spots that we're actually making money. I think revenue generation on the campuses are important, so please don't take that's the message away from today. I think of the 700 that's there, I think we should probably generate more revenue. This is you know, using our facilities, we have to be able to upkeep, right? So I think that's one of my main concerns. So I think we need to figure out, we have to have a plan on how we can, you know, do a global conference policy on how we're going to generate more fees for the university, because I think that's been the challenge. Typically we undercharge, and I think when you said it was only a couple thousand, I was like, okay, this is another sore spot, but now that you're saying it's 100,000 per campus, that's actually pretty good in my mind. So I think as long as it's streamlining, as long as we're going to build on this to create more capacity to generate more revenue, I think I'm very comfortable, but I think to me, that's what the focus has to be. So thank you, Chair.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, recommendation, thank you, Mike. The recommendation is to defect the date further to July 1, 2050, and to add in a statement of statewide concern, because it's not in there. And if there's any technical or non-substantive amendments, if there is, then we will make that changes. Okay, if any further discussion, hearing none, chair votes aye.
House Bill 2500 passed with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Fukunaga excused, Senator Hashimoto.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Measures adopted.
Thank you. I believe that's the longest discussion we've ever had on a conference center. Okay, we are going to adjourn this Welcome back to the committee. It's a joint committee this time on higher education and government operations. We have Chair McKelvey for government operations, myself as chair, and members on both committees. This is Tuesday, March 19th. We're on our 3:30 agenda, although it is 4:43 p.m. in conference room 229. And of course, if anything goes wrong, we're going to reconvene this meeting on Thursday, March 21 at 3 p.m. in this conference room 229. We are on House Bill 2499, House Draft 2, relating to procurement of the University of Hawaii, removes the repeal and reenactment of Act 8's special SLH 2021 to maintain the authority of the President of the University of Hawaii to act as the University of Hawaii's Chief Procurement Officer. And with that, we have two testifiers. HRE-GVO for the University of Hawaii is up first.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chairs, members of the committees. We stand on our written, HRE-GVO on behalf of the University of Hawaii. We stand on our written testimony in support.
Okay, thank you. And we have Bonnie Kaukui for the State Procurement Office.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee, Bonnie Kaukui. Excuse me, for the State Procurement Office. We stand on our written testimony with a comment that admittedly we did use data from 2016. That is the only data, full study that we had. Since that time, we were not aware of any egregious excuse me, procurements that UH did, with the exception of the TC Ching Field procurement, in which we provided a testimony, which we provided responses to the Senate Committee on Procurement back a couple years ago. Thank you.
Okay, you want to just stay there? We have
Okay.
one more testifier because I do have questions. And Upa, you are also? Okay, with that, members' questions, I will start off if that's okay. So thank you for clarifying, because your testimony does in fact cite an over 10-year-old study, review, I guess, but it's been 10 years. And since then, yes, you did mention TC Ching, but wasn't this very egregious?
Yes, and we acknowledge that in the
Somebody died,
response.
right? There was a death that occurred.
But the violation was their out-of-scope work.
Right.
Yes, of course, it's a tragedy that they did die, that the person did die. But what we were researching, it was whether the work done at TC Ching Field for the bleachers and for the scoreboard and sort of other things that they did they follow the procurement statute? And we acknowledge that they did wrong, and they did provide an explanation for why they did it. I'm not saying it was correct, but they did provide an explanation, and not necessarily, we didn't delve into the causes of the person's death. We just focused on the actual procurement of the renovation of the AstroTurf there at TC Ching Field.
Okay, but the fact that somebody did die doesn't necessarily say that because of these infractions or violations, that was the cause, but certainly the entity was not licensed. The person that passed away was from another country, but the fact that there was a death. And then you do say in your review, it appears only change 6 out of what, 12 changes? Only, and I'm reading off of your thing, okay, members. Only order 6 is specifically within the original scope of work. All other change orders appear to be out of scope.
Yes.
And so, I mean, it doesn't seem like this was unintentional done. And then you do go on and say, change order 10 appears to be out of scope. And it's that agencies must report procurement violations to obtain the approval of the chief procurement officer. And then you say pursuant to penalties, 103D, any person who intentionally violates this chapter or any rules adopted pursuant to this chapter shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and shall be subject to removal from office, liable for the state. There's a whole issues of that. And yet it seems to have been brushed away.
Oh, absolutely not.
So what was the penalties? What was the penalty?
Well, the chief procurement officer at that time was, well, we have to take it to court. We have to have our AGs take it to court. It's not an administrative fine. Take it to court and determine whether they were an actual, criminal offenses. And they chose, I don't think they took it any further.
Okay, you did say, and again, this is your words and not mine. President Lasner is the Chief Procurement Officer for the University of Hawaii, and therefore it is his responsibility to initiate the penalty and administrative fine process. SPO does not have the law enforcement authority to pursue misdemeanor charges. So, Ms. GVO, was there any action taken? You can stay there, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Was there any action taken by the Chief Procurement Officer? I mean, this all goes to, and I'm not meaning to rehash this, but it all goes to your folks' testimony that everything's hunky-dory, they're doing everything right, they're transparent, and therefore this should be given back. And I'm bringing up issues that have occurred, which is the reason why they're still in this situation. Right?
So on this one issue, it's the university's position that it did not violate the procurement code, and that's the conversation that the two agencies have had, and we have agreed to disagree.
So you're saying that the scope was not changed when initially your contract went out to do the turf, and the fact that you used the same contractor, you did a change order, and you made it into putting up all the bleachers, putting the tie downs, doing all the suites, that you didn't change the scope?
So there is a provision in all of our contracts that, because the practicality around when you do a project, you actually physically, there's a geographical boundary that gets delineated typically on a map, and you carve out that site, so on our campus, and we say, contractor, you have site control. And we turn over site control to the contractor who's working on the project. So in this case, they were installing the field. If instances come up where we actually need to do work in that same area, we were relying on a provision in the contract that
Says the university reserves the right at any time to contract or otherwise perform other additional work within the project contract limits, right? This is what you're referring to.
Yes.
Contractor of this project shall do the extent ordered. However, the CPO says, as this clause only applies to the coordination efforts by the contractor and potentially other contractors procured by UH, SPO believes that this clause is not applicable to additional work.
Right, so that is the source of the distinction, that between the State Procurement Office and the University of Hawaii, we have interpreted it differently. So going back, this is why the conclusion was that there was no procurement violation. That was the position of the university. So we do appreciate the State Procurement Office's review, and we are tightening up that language so that it's clearer. But that is the practicalities around running a project. When you turn over the site control like that, and we needed to install the bleachers quickly, no matter how you sliced it, we would have had to have figured out a way for that work to be done all in the same site, which is why the intent of that language was intended to address that. It wasn't probably perfectly worded, which is why we've cleaned up that language. But when you're, again.
Well, she does say this. There is no specific language within the procurement code that change orders outside the scope of work are justified for convenience or lack of time, which is exactly what you're saying. And this is why we're in this position, because while you folks disagree and you continue to disagree, that concerns me, and I don't know if it concerns other members here, but you're saying that UH should be treated certainly different from all other procurements, and that the state procurement officer, no matter what they say, that you folks are an entity in your own, and therefore you should be able to do this, even though there's reasons why there's these rules. And that's why you folks are in this situation, and yet you want to come out from under it, and yet you sit here and say, well, we don't agree, thank you, we agree to disagree. But that's not how procurement works.
Well, it is one instance I'll be the first to say that, you know, we try to achieve perfection, but we are not. And we do our best, and that's all really we ask of our team to do.
But then we would expect you would acknowledge when you folks make a violation or you violated the rules, because then if you don't, you're gonna do it again, and I'm gonna cite others that you've done.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if you recall when we had our procurement meeting, special group procurement that we were on, and we went over all the change orders. And then we came to the change orders for Sinclair Live, was it? No, what was it? Yeah, I guess it is the special sciences, right? And you folks had 38 change orders, and there was a change order in there where you were moving equipment from the PBS building, right? And so you had a contract for that, to move all of that. And then you said, Jan, at that meeting, that you didn't realize how bad that building was, right? And though it needed to be demolished, so you guys amended the procurement. Remember this, Bonnie? You amended it to include the demolition of the building, which is totally out of scope. And I think you at the time said it was out of scope.
So we concurred, and we de-scoped it, and it's still sitting there.
Right, but you
to
wouldn't
this
have,
day.
you wouldn't have done that if we hadn't brought it up. You folks would have gone ahead with the procurement, isn't that correct?
Possibly.
Yeah, because you're
possibly.
given the contract.
Yeah, I mean, we have had this discussion on whether something is in scope or not in scope as being, there's never a bright line. And government can choose to be more conservative or less conservative in its application or interpretation or evaluation of change orders. And at the end of the day, we try to our best to abide by the spirit, the policies that underlie the state procurement law as guidelines to help us navigate these sometimes more challenging questions.
Okay, but then, see, that's the point, that's what the chief procurement officer is supposed to be wearing, the chief procurement officer hat, to look at these things objectively. So when that was raised to President Lasner at the meeting, and I said, you know, President Lasner, that's your job, you should have been on top of these things. And he goes, well, I'm the president of the university, I have to do what's in the best interest of the university, which is true. Then that raises the issue of a conflict, which is what we've pointed out. So let me just also say that in a life sciences building, and Bonnie, maybe you can opine on this, but you had a change order, number 18, UH requesting marketing renderings and animation for fundraising and public relations. This is the construction of the life sciences building, and you put in a change order, is that out of scope?
Well, without knowing what the solicitation said, it sounds like it's out of scope.
Right.
So this was a design build contract. They were supposed to deliver design renderings. We requested a 3D fly-through to better understand the renderings. As well, it would have helped to see if we could get some foundation donations to help fund some of the furniture that we wanted on the outside areas. But it is a deliverable that is expected or is in the normal scope and delivery of what a design team should deliver. It's expected in all of our design build projects. We just apparently were not clear in that instance,
Well, I
so.
looked through the whole contract, it doesn't mention anything about public relations and fundraising.
Right.
Again, you know, when you guys mess up and don't include it, I mean, that's part of the procurement.
That's not the
process,
purpose though,
right?
right? I mean, the purpose of the fly-through was to really have the team understand the complete design, but,
Okay.
and
But I'm
yes.
reading off of your change order.
Understood,
That's what is in on the change order. So I can
Understood.
only go on documents that was given to me,
fair,
right?
yes.
That we do this. So, you know, it raises the concern that there continues to be, and again, I haven't gone through every single project that you guys have done, obviously, but the ones that I have gone through, that you have these. So that's concerning if you don't understand what the scope is and what it is that you folks should be doing, which is why we've had this concern about the procurement.
Well, we do hundreds of projects. We have hundreds of contracts, and
And there might be hundreds of
yeah, there are,
violations.
I mean, maybe you will find one or two. I, I'm sure if you looked hard enough, you could, find anything. So
But
I'm
isn't
not
this-
going to sit here and say we're perfect and you're not going to find one questionable call. I would not say that.
But we want to find ways to improve it, right? And if there are issues and if there's not good oversight, which is what we seem to be seeing, not very good oversight, why is that? Is the president the appropriate person to be the chief procurement officer? Perhaps that could be the problem. Perhaps that we need somebody that's going to be able to spend the time, because as Bonnie pointed out, it's the chief procurement officer that have that responsibility. And if they're not gonna conduct investigations and do whatever, which is difficult, because, yeah, you're the president, you're not gonna wanna do an investigation on your own entity. So it puts you in a position of conflict, and we've been trying to change that conflict, but it's been fought tooth and nail against it.
The president has signed off on procurement violations, so it's not like there are none. In this particular case,
Well, none that we have seen come about. I mean, I easily found this one on the public relations, so.
again, even in hindsight, I don't think we would say that that would be a procurement violation. But there are instances where we have found procurement violations within departments or other parts of the university, and a procurement violation is done, evaluated, investigated, and ultimately signed off by the president. So it's not like it doesn't happen.
Right, but there's a lot more into being a chief procurement officer than signing off on violations, right?
Well, that's part of it, yes.
Yeah. And we could not find other presidents that are in fact chief procurement officers. Members' questions, I know I seem to monopolize this thing. Senator Fukunaga.
I guess for university system, you also have your own legal counsel that are separate from the Department of the Attorney General, correct?
Yes.
So in instances where you have contracts for procurement, do the attorneys for the university consult with, I guess, procurement office or other agencies?
If there's, if something is out of the ordinary, or, yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, so I guess generally it would seem that most agencies, if they're pursuing a procurement, you also look to see if there are potential issues or problem areas in advance.
Yes.
And so if there are problem areas, how does your legal team address them?
We would submit a legal services request, right? And it would be reviewed by general counsel.
Okay, so is it a fair statement to say that you also try and anticipate where there may be problems, and in instances when problems
Yes.
are brought to your office's attention, then you consult
Yes.
with your attorneys and they, I guess,
Yes.
consult with the procurement office?
Yes.
Okay, well, I
Oh, wait,
guess.
with the state procurement office, we would do it with our general counsel's
Oh, okay,
office. Yes.
okay.
There have been, there have been occasions where we will get a call from somebody else's legal team, whatever department it is, or even other jurisdictions, and will ask us what would our opinion be on something, what our interpretation. So we have made that, offer to all jurisdictions and all agencies.
Okay, thank you.
Just to follow, go ahead.
Jan, maybe what you can conceptualize for me is, what is the upside to the president having procurement? What are we talking in terms of time saving, efficiencies? Can you kind of give me a concept of what that looks like?
Maybe I should start off by saying, I think so long as somewhere within the University of Hawaii, we retain, the university is able to retain procurement authority, whether it's the president as a position or any other position within the university. I don't think that's workable. But if, for the university to be able to retain its procurement authority, just administratively, you're bringing another, if not, right, the default would be to have it be transferred back to the state procurement office. That it's just another agency that has to get worked into the procedures and the SOPs and the form. We use our own completely different set of forms. I'm sure the state procurement office has their own set of forms. There'd be retraining probably over the type of forms that are used. Our contractors also, I think the potential, we have not sat down to really flesh out what the detailed impact would be, but at a high level, because ultimately another state agency is involved in what is a more operational component of doing business at the university, it just inserts another layer of administrative review or involvement.
But because I was looking at the preamble of the bill, you only got full autonomy back in what, 2013? Or was it before that?
So,
had it and then it was
I think the
2000.
university has always had procurement authority from the beginning of the state procurement law. And then at some point in time, I don't have the details, UH got completely exempted from the state procurement law.
Okay.
And really was wasn't even subject to 103D, arguably. And then at some point in time, when it got folded back into 103D. But throughout that entire process or time, it was always under the University of Hawaii and the president as the chief procurement officer. Sometime back in 2013 is when I guess the law was changed to pull the construction authority out and put under the state procurement office.
Right.
2013.
Yeah.
Okay. So how has that impacted you? Because I'm assuming you know what has been the changes over time, but I don't know. I think what I'm trying to get at is what is the bottom line efficiencies of going back to what we had versus, I think what to try and balance out the oversight aspect to it. I'm just trying to understand like what is the best case scenario that and what is the best case to us on why you need this bill.
Well, it did go to the state procurement office in 2013. I was not at the university when that happened. When I joined the university, it was operating under that paradigm. Wasn't very familiar with, it was kind of, I will say that once we got the procurement authority, on these 3-year terms, we were able to, we did our first design build. We did our first indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity IDIQ. We do a lot more RFP type procurements, I would say, than most other state agencies. I think DOT is probably one that does a lot of RFPs, but it's different methods of procurement that we've been able to do more efficiently. I think is probably why we were able to get those accomplished. In addition to that, we did, just tighten up all of our, just internally how the paperwork flowed. So in my time that I've been at the university, the majority of that time, the president has had this short-term authority to do procurement. So it's been that way the majority of my time. So it's really hard for me to really speak to what it was like before that.
But Bonnie, you can't do all those things under your procurement that she stated?
I'm sorry, I can do, what is that?
Design builds and all those other things?
In the procurement statute, it allows for design build under RFP.
Okay.
So Can I interject?
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
basically, nothing's really changed in the sense you can still operate under the procurement code and law. The only thing that we're, when you were under the state, is that the oversight, if there were an issue, if there were a violation, that kind of oversight would come into play, the chief procurement officer. Is that correct?
What we did for them is we went in and took samples of all their procurements, small, big, and we just scoured through them. Did they follow the rules? And we did take a look at, if there were change orders, were the change orders valid? Were they within scope of work? We did, go through that. It was an exhaustive time. We basically had one person just do that for 3 years.
Wow.
She would have to go up there and do all of that, so.
But basically oversight. So as far as the day-to-day operations, it didn't really change, right, the procurement.
Well, we weren't doing, like I said, we didn't have a design build, we didn't have IDIQs then, so it's really hard to truly know.
Yeah, but I mean,
What the impact would be.
My understanding, because I've been through this whole thing in the beginning, although it didn't start on my watch, it started on, I guess, Senator Taniguchi's watch. I wasn't UH or procurement at the time, believe it or not.
I don't know.
But yeah, so that won't change. But you talked about that you wanted to keep it on campus, and I think we proposed that for the past 3 years, and it's been fought. So that's the problem we've had. While you sit here and say, yes, you want to keep it on campus, and that's what we were proposing all along, and it's not your final decision.
Yep.
But going back to, Senator Fukunaga talked about your attorney, the attorney would meet with the chief procurement officer, but the chief procurement officer is a president who hires the attorney, supposedly. So there's a lot of conflicts involved. I mean, you're not going to get rid of all of the conflicts, but I mean, we're trying our best to see how can we help improve the system and not penalize the system, which is the way I guess you guys look at it. But it's hard to ignore when you have a contractor hired that didn't have a license, when somebody passed away, when you have out of scope stuff that come out, when you have complaints that brought to your attention. How do I find out about these things? People call to complain. I don't just be able to go through all your things, and I have to request the information to verify whether or not we're gonna pursue it, so.
Well, I would just throw out there that while on the one hand, you're right, it's not my call, but to the extent I'm the one sitting here today testifying, I would say we would support any legislation that keeps the procurement authority within the campus organizational structure. And if that's however you feel comfortable doing that, we would support.
Okay, and you won't undermine us if we do that, if it goes to conference or in this case, we already got the House measure, but in the past, and go over and then want them to kill it. So you're not gonna advocate for that as
No.
long as it keeps it on your campus?
Yes.
Okay. And one just last thing, so design build, I agree with you that, you have a lot more latitude, but you're not supposed to get 70-something change orders in design build.
Well,
Right.
again, so the number might be a little misleading. We could even have a lot, some change orders that are deductive in nature. We can have change orders like we want to change the color from blue to white. That's a change order, right? It could be no cost. So
Well,
I know,
would-
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but change orders are not just bad per
No,
se,
but
right?
one of the reasons you do go like design build and so forth is because it cuts down that number. That's one of the purposes of it.
And I'd like to believe that over the years, we have gotten better at it. So we definitely have gone through a learning curve as an organization. And you just gotta jump off the deep end sometimes and just try to better the ball and improve the way that government has always been operating.
Which is what we're trying to do.
Yes, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you guys kind of know I kind of support this, only because of the past practices, and we kind of promise that the new practices is not gonna continue on. I will tell you guys why. When you guys talk about procurement and change order, yeah? So I've been on one job. I know the job is 7, 8 million. I bid $3 million on the job, knowing that I'm going to put in change orders because the procurement person is the same person that wants the thing done. You guys don't have somebody outside of the procurement looking in if it needs to be change orders. I give you guys a prime example. The rail. Go look at the rail when it first started, $3 billion. How much is the rail now? And it's not because of the price of construction, like people are gonna say, it's because the change orders. Yeah, maybe change orders are not bad, but it's not good for a project when I know, and I could be challenged because you guys are gonna take the lowest bidder. But after the project is done, the highest bidder or the bidder that was higher than me, I beat them by $2-3 million in change orders. And that's the reason why I cannot support that. We need somebody with more of an independent thinking than actually having one say within the university and being that person at the lead role, especially like president. And that's one of the main reasons why I cannot support this bill.
Thank you. Anybody else? I do have one small. It's small, but it raises a point. When you have all these change orders and people are not going through it, there's this one change order number 65. University requested an additional light switch in the penthouse at the pass-through from the west to the east side. Contracted to furnish and install light switch, $2,192.32. Now, I've had light switch changed in my house, and I don't know that it was that amount. But, I mean, there's numerous ones also. If you're going with a 5 code, provide additional circuit, the receptacle, and that's 2,331. I mean, there's a number of them in this that I could nitpick, but I've just raised concerns that when you have these kinds of projects and if you don't have anybody overseeing it, they know they can get away with it and they gouge us. And that's caused the cost to go up, so.
I will say, I think we might be, although I don't know this for a fact, but we might be one of the few, if not the only, state agency that does cost price reasonableness analysis on every single change order regardless of amount. There is a threshold of 100,000, I think, is what the administrative rules are when you need to do, but we do it for everything.
So you did it for the light switch?
Yes.
And that's how much it cost, 2,000 some what dollars?
Yeah, I gotta go pull the record, but yeah. I will say, the other part to this is, we don't get a lot of CIP appropriation. So if there is, we treat our money, our CIP dollars very frugally. And so that might even be more of an incentive to be a little more scrutinous. But everything is scrutinized. And yes, what might on its face appear to be maybe ridiculous, there's a backup documentation to support everything.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, we will go into decision making. Okay, recess. Welcome back to the Joint Committee on Higher Education and Government Operations. And we have conferred, the recommendation would be to pass out House Bill 2499, House Draft 2, with an SD1. We will make amendments to this to say that we will extend this for another 3 years, but with the provision that the Chief Procurement Officer will be the CFO at the University of Hawaii. Any questions? Any
Chief Procurement
discussion?
Officer will be the CFO.
CFO, yes, which is where most campuses have it as a financial officer. So, is there any discussion? Hearing none, Chair votes aye.
House Bill 2499, HD2, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Hashimoto.
Aye.
Senator Favela. Measures adopted, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Committee on Government Operations, same recommendation. Senate Draft 1, I vote yes.
Chair, we're still waiting for the voting.
Oh, you're there, okay. I vote yes.
Slow motion.
Those with amendments?
Wait a minute, I think, I have to go back, I'm sorry. In addition to doing those two amendments, we have to put in the technical and not substantive clarity, and also the statement of statewide concern. Is that correct? Okay. Okay, so we're good, okay. Sorry.
If you're voting in, you're good.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, good. Okay, Vice Chair, with those highlights, Senate Draft 1, I vote yes.
Okay, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator San Buenaventura. Aye. Senator Wakai. Excuse, Senator Owa. Excuse, measure passes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, we are adjourned.